That's another month of gold trading in the bag. We have Jordan Roy-Byrne, editor, publisher of the Daily Gold newsletter, joining us today. Jordan, how are you?
I'm good, Alex. Thanks for having me.
All right, Jordan, great to speak with you again. So let's hop to it. Getting to the miners, month of April. How did you see them performing?
Alex, I'm starting to get a little more encouraged because if you look at the miners relative to the metals have kind of been weak. I know today it looks like we see gold again below 1180, but the miners, just looking at GDX, I mean, they're hanging in there. They're showing some relative strength when normally you'd expect them to break lower. So I'm really encouraged by what's going on. I don't know if we're completely out of the woods yet, but I think for the miners, the worst is probably over. And you can look at the big miners like Barrick and Newmont, and they've been, I don't know how they're doing today, but those charts are starting to look a lot better. So I think with respect to the mining stocks, the worst is over, and perhaps we've seen a bottom. So I'm encouraged by the action this month.
Good. Some optimism for the sector. All right, let's get to the stock picks then, starting with Bear Creek Mining. That's a Canadian-based explorer focused on a couple of their assets in Peru. Why do you like them?
I like the price. I bought it actually earlier this week, and it was trading at all. I had to double check, but it was trading at, I think, only 2.5 times cash. Now, obviously, silver has really struggled. As you know, silver companies are really struggling. Silver needs to go back up for Bear Creek to do really well. But if in the future, if we see silver above $20, I think Bear Creek is going to make tremendous gains. I mean, you look at their Karani asset, that's going to be on its road to production. And once this bear market in silver is over, which it looks like it's just about over, there might be a little bit more time left. But once that's over and silver starts to rebound, I think Bear Creek is going to be in a really excellent position. The Karani project's a world-class asset. It's going to be permitted. It's going to become a mine. So those are the reasons I like Bear Creek.
All right, fair enough. Switching to Kirkland Lake Gold. That's a company that's seen a pretty solid turnaround. What do you like about them?
You said it. It's been a big turnaround. It's been reflected in the stock, and the stock has obviously done very well. If you look at the reserves that they have, and in recent quarters, the grade that they've been producing at has actually been lower than the reserve grade, which, and also if you look at the amount of reserves that they have, that really suggests that there's upside to production. Their production could grow a little bit, and they have long reserves. So that's very positive. And also, if you look at the chart on the stock, I think it's very close to a 2-year high. It's kind of been trading in a wide range for the last several years. So it has room technically to move a lot higher, and looking at how I value it, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's very possible.
All right, we're going to switch to what you're staying away from, and that is prospect generators. They're turning you off. How come?
Yeah, well, I've never heard anyone say they don't like prospect generators, so it might be a contrarian opinion from my part. But first, let me say that I think this is a great way to run an exploration company. I think it makes a lot of sense how these companies allocate their capital. They're very conservative and safe, et cetera. So, but we need to distinguish from being running that company, that type of company, and then being an investor. But if you're an investor in these companies, to me, I know that people out there are promoting the idea that it's safer. These companies can last quite a bit longer. But if you look at the stock price, the stock chart for the vast majority of these companies, they're awful. I mean, they've performed worse than the sector. Sure, there's been a couple that have done really well. And so that's basically what you're looking at. You're looking at a group where you're basically gambling. You're betting on drill holes, and there's a few home runs and a lot of strikeouts. And so I think from the perspective of the retail investor, it's very difficult. And that's why not being an expert in geology, that's why I personally stay away from them.
And before we wrap up, some personal news. You got a book coming out on Amazon shortly called The Coming Renewal of Gold's Secular Bull Market. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, well, what I'm looking at in this book is I'm talking about really what drives gold, and quickly, it's real interest rates or real yields. I think 2015 is going to mark a historic bottom in the sector, and also finally talking about what's really going to drive the sector going forward. I think that's the sovereign debt situation. So those are some of the things I focus on in the book.
Sounds good. Look forward to reading it. Jordan, listen, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
And thank you for watching this edition of The Rough. Any comments or questions are always welcome at newsfeedback@kitco.com. Have a good weekend.